In this podcast, I'll be talking about the South Sudan Sudden War, Civil War. Um, in South Sudan, there was a civil war that started in the late 1980s, and it kind of had a hiatus for a bit. It stopped in the early 2010s, but resumed in 2018 because there was a peace treaty signed in 2014, saying that they will have a lot of peace, not a lot of peace, but they would have signed peace and they would stop attacking each other. Um, yeah, the peace treaty, as I said, was signed in 2014, but in 2018 there was the violence continued throughout the years currently. From 2018 to now, it's still ongoing. The effects on people, the effects of this war on people in the country, they made South Sudan very uninhabitable. Like, they're having there was a shootout in the capital, and that caused over 100,000 people to move and flee the country. And there's now upwards of 1 million people who have fled South Sudan in general to seek refuge and to seek a better life. They are also losing housing in South Sudan because, well, of the active shootouts that have been happening. The houses have been destroyed. They haven't been the same since, and that's why all of the refugees are going somewhere other than South Sudan, to at least seek some safety. There is a organization providing aid for South Sudanese, and it's called the International Rescue Community. And you can donate up to $5 to $15 in one donation to help South Sudanese have food, have enough money for food, have enough money for water, and seek some safety after all. The crisis has not been resolved, as I said before. It's still a civil war, and it hasn't really stopped. And but before the war in Ukraine started happening, there's news about South Sudan like a few months prior. But after the Ukraine war broke out, there was no news about South Sudan. So people, like, it was only small headers and like newspaper articles online, and they removed those. They removed the words. They removed the South Sudan war from like the main story, like the updates. So people really didn't know what happened to them, and some of my friends don't know what happened to them either. Humanitarian aid has provided people homes, food, and water for those that have left the country. So in our novel, like A Long Way Gone, it was not under the same circumstances because Ishmael Bey was a child soldier and he recovered, and they wanted to have him as a public speaker for people for children like him. But they just provided them with the refugee kids. They provided them with new homes in Canada and United States. There is a significant risk of famine due to the war. Like there's 7.7, actually over 7.7 million people that are facing crisis or like terrible levels of hunger because of the displacement and the destruction of livelihoods around like the overall mass of South Sudan. Citizens are being killed and subjected to horrible human rights violations. Like the soldiers are breaking and entering their homes, killing families for no reason but for just boasting for themselves. There's no reasoning why they should be killing these civilians. They've done nothing at all. In fact, they're trying to flee the war because of, well, again, lack of food, lack of shelter, lack of water, um, inhumane living conditions because of the war, um, and it's overall not a very habitable place right now, and it won't be for until the war's over, and even then they still need to rebuild on what happened, fix. They would still need to fix like the property damage that happened. They would need to fix the living conditions. They would need to fix the resources they grab food. They need to fix the farms. They need to fix. I'm not saying like that's like a bad thing. They just need to have they need to like completely overhaul what happens in the next decade, or else that country will slowly affect its surroundings and then turn that area into a civil war, a continent. Um, um, there is also like a lot of danger. Like, I just mean you can't travel there. In fact, it's like one of the most dangerous places to travel because of what's going on and how deadly the war is. It's not a very safe place to go right now.